singing Taylor Swift breakup songs, which I got the breakdown on that. Apparently, it's like a Great Gatsby theme song where Taylor's thinking about an ex, saying it would have been fun if you were the one, but it's all in the past. She's moved on, but she starts thinking about him and how much fun it would have been if it worked out. That's the song he's singing. And Miles Teller, the thing that I noticed, Miles Teller's wife's Instagram post, the caption said, "It's fun trolling." Like, that's the part that stood out to me. This whole thing is a game to Aaron. It's why Aaron's not being specific, because it's a game to him. He's making the Packers uncomfortable. He's making them squirm, and he's enjoying it.
They made him uncomfortable when they drafted the quarterback.
Well, that's
right?
kind of the team's job, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
but
Alex
when
Smith says they should have called him.
I think when you're an elite player, like, you usually don't. I mean, it is their job, but it's rare that a player gets the ability to get back. Like, I'm all for who has the power gets the power, but Aaron's good enough where he gets the juice back. I can't blame him for fucking with them. Right? To me, if it was Ron Wolf or Ted Thompson, a guy that had been there his entire career, I don't know if he acts like this, but I think it just gets back when you don't respect the person. And I think a relationship with the GM and the players, probably for a guy that's relatively new, they probably just don't have one. It's fucked up if you do respect Matt LaFleur to do this, because I just puts him in a very, very tough spot. Right? It just does. Did you listen to Peter Schrager, flying coach? They had LaFleur and Robert Saleh on the podcast. I recommend it. It's a good listen.
Wait, flying coach, isn't that Steve Kerr and Pete Carroll's podcast?
Well, that was last year. The new one is Peter Schrager, McVay hosting coaches.
Gotcha. And
their first show was LaFleur and Saleh. And, McVay's the star of the show, but one thing, like, we know we're not going to touch the drama going on. Like, they refused to touch it. But one thing, like, he went above and beyond to kind of blow Aaron LaFleur, and it felt like a strategic thing to go on. But it's just a tough. I don't know what to do. I mean, it's a tough spot for him. I kind of feel bad for him.
I know this. If his list was short. His list was the list we thought existed, draft day list, right? The Niners, the Raiders, the Broncos. Was there a fourth team?
No.
And I think if the more teams feel like Aaron could get traded, the more quarterbacks that should be uncomfortable around the league, outside of just Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater, and even Derek Carr. I mean, I know, like, if I think teams would start offering a lot, not just to the Packers, but to Aaron. If you're the Titans, let's say, do you offer Aaron the Roger Clemens? Like, hey, man, road games, you can fly home. We'll have a FedEx. You go to L.A., we'll have a FedEx plane pick you up and bring you to Tennessee by Wednesday for practice. I just wonder if more teams than were on his list would really try and make a relationship work with him and try to convince him that, man, you don't have to be in Denver or Vegas to live the life that you want to live. Maybe he just wants to be close to Miles Teller's place in Maui. I don't know. But I just think that if this guy's really getting traded, John, is anybody we could make a shorter list of teams not calling than teams that are calling. And not just the Packers, trying to in some way get in touch with Aaron's agent, because it'd be in the Packers' best interest to tell teams, yes, you can talk to Aaron's agent. The more teams that are involved, the better it is for Green Bay.
Yeah. You would just need him to capitulate to those demands.
You would need capitulation.
And he is – you're right. He's definitely trolling, but he's definitely just a different guy, right? Like, I don't necessarily think – I don't even know. I honestly, I'm kind of at a loss for what his end game is on this, because it could just be as simple as he wants to fuck with them. He's going to drag them through the mud and ultimately show up. Because it does not – they're not going to allow anything to happen until training camp. Right, you're just going to write it out, right, until he doesn't show for training camp, because he's not going to show for mandatory OTAs.
Really, if you're them, you could just really let it play out. Like, if he's not showing up for camp, if he's not showing up for week one, it's not ideal. Are your receivers showing up? You would think, but there's really, unless you're getting Derek Carr, what are you really getting that you would need week one?
Well, the one thing that they're going to have a better idea because of practice this year is they get to see Jordan Love. Now, granted, throwing to me, you, and 7 other guys, but, like, he does get to practice. So you do – honestly, him not showing up to OTAs, you wouldn't have wanted him to show up to OTAs really anyway. Give Jordan Love all the reps. You would just want the wide receivers to get there. The moment the wide receivers don't show up, like, they have a legitimate problem on their hands.
Marquez, Haberman, Middlecoff isn't showing up.
Yeah. So just – what if they fall in love with Jordan Love? And this is where I think Aaron has some validity. Like, you guys will toss me to the curb. Now, Aaron, welcome to the NFL. All your teammates over the years have been tossed to the curb. But it's still, when it happens to you, we're all inherently selfish.
Sure.
It
You're
pisses
not
you
going
off.
to treat me like you've treated everybody else.
And he's right, because, in the history of sports, they don't fire players, aka the great players. Like, they always fire the coach or the GM first. And this is where it does put the franchise in a precarious situation with him. Yeah. He does have juice here.
He does, but I do think they don't have zero leverage, again, in that, like, if they like Jordan Love, they can more than call his bluff. If he doesn't show up, they can move. They don't have to trade him if he's not there week 1 if they like Jordan Love enough. Because, again, there's nothing real. What are they getting back that helps them this year? Now, if they're getting a couple star defensive players or something like that, okay. But if they're just getting future picks, they can let it ride.
But to me, if you're him, like, you can't allow a trade where the other team is giving up more than sweet draft picks, because you're going to a team trying to win. Like, he's not trying. But
that's where the Packers, to me, leverage comes in. Are the Packers trading him for 50 cents on a dollar when he's under contract and he's coming off the MVP? That's where I don't think like all the leverage in what, like, it's kind of, that's what kind of makes this one fascinating is I do think both sides have
where his leverage is. Without me, I don't think you're very good, and I know you're not trying to lose. Right? You want me.
Right. But if he's not going to play for them either way, then, again, unless they're getting something back that helps them right away, they can call his bluff and start the season with Jordan Love if they like Jordan Love. If there's nothing they can do to get him to play for them, what's their incentive not to make him take this thing all the way?
If he didn't show up, if he wasn't there for week 1, that would be one of the biggest NFL stories of the last couple decades.
Well, yeah. So do you agree? Like, it's not. What is their biggest incentive to trade him before week 1? That they could get something that helps them right now. That's their biggest incentive. And to just end this.
Yeah, I mean, part of it, I don't think you can get too caught up on that if you can get like 3 1s and 2 2s on like players now, right? I think you would do it more for picks than players. Because if you're him, you do not allow a trade with the Broncos trade Bradley Chubb. Like, it doesn't make any – it's always the thing with, like, NBA players. Well, I don't just swap a bunch of first-rounders. Right. I want to go play with that guy. It's where this situation is really – it's where I'm not the biggest Matt LaFleur guy, though he's kind of earned my respect. He's won some games. He's in a tough situation.
Really is. But, this is the unknown element here is Jordan Love good enough to play? Because if he is, if Jordan Love rolls out, looks good week 1, and Aaron Rodgers is,
Was that a puberty slip?
I thought puberty slip / like, making a point.
Yeah, no. It happens,